Good afternoon, everyone. We are so pleased to have you here at the first in a series of webinars hosted by the UWI Open Campus Academy of Sports. I am Dana Smith, Sports Activity Development Officer, and we are pleased to have you here for our webinar, Nutrition, the Body's Fuel. And as you saw on the flyer, we'll be having a presentation by Miss Denora George. And I'll just give you a little background about why we're doing this and why it's so important for us to have this conversation. All right. But first, some little housekeeping. We're going to be having a brief Q&A section. And so we invite persons to send their questions in the chat, and we will do our best to answer the questions that come up, all right, in the Q&A section. So while Ms. George presents, feel free to drop your questions in the chat, okay? So this webinar came about really because we have been doing something called OC Moves. And OC Moves is a virtual boot camp that was created for the Open Campus students and staff at the onset of the pandemic. And because we know that, yes, you need to work out, you need to be physically active, but we also know that you need to be concerned about what you're putting into your body. We have had a nutrition component added to the bootcamp series. And generally we have that during our orientation, but we have had such good responses to this that we thought it would be good to do a webinar so that we can share it with the wider community, the wider public, because this is a very important topic, right? And to share some of the reasons why, we have asked persons who have done the bootcamp, why are you interested in being physically active and being healthy? And some of the responses have been, I want to feel better in my body. I don't want to feel winded while I'm doing simple physical tasks. I don't want the aches and pains that come along as we age. And interestingly, a common thread is that persons are trying to prevent diseases that they see run in their family. Those tend to be the lifestyle diseases, otherwise called non-communicable diseases, and they want to break the generational curse. And according to Healthy Caribbean Coalition, NCDs, or non-communicable diseases, account for 7 out of every 10 deaths in the Caribbean, 40% of which occur prematurely within the most productive years. So do you see why it's so important for us to be having this discussion? Many persons say they want to take care of their future self and they want to have a holistic approach to life. So if you are joining us for this session and this sounds like you, we are really happy that you're here and we want you to share this information because I can guarantee you're going to get a lot of good information from Miss Denora George, our presenter. Denora is a young researcher in the fields of massage therapy, sports nutrition, and physiology. She's currently a PhD candidate at the UWI St. Augustine campus in the sphere of nutrition and will have previously completed her MSc in sports science from the University of New Brunswick and the UWI Cave Hill. And she has a BSc in nutrition and sports nutrition from UWI St. Augustine. Besides her academic achievements, she's a Trinidad and Tobago national who has worked and volunteered in various capacities, which have helped her to develop a range of knowledge, competencies, as well as functional life skills. And to add, one of those times that she has volunteered has also been with the Open Campus, where she has served as a physiotherapist for both our student and staff games contingents, right? So she's very passionate about the topic of nutrition and she intends to channel all her knowledge to foster shared and functional information among the Caribbean region while providing exceptional care and service in the fields of rehabilitation, health, nutrition, and fitness. So without further ado, please help me welcome Ms. Denora George.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invitation for this Open Campus webinar series. We would be entertaining all questions at the end, so let me get straight into presentation. So just confirming that you're hearing me, Dana, can you give me a thumbs up?
Yes, Denora, hearing you. And I want to thank you especially because we know you're running on a very tight schedule. Very important lady this is. And we really do appreciate you taking some time to have this presentation for us. So please go right ahead.
So I apologize for my background. I'm actually a training. So yes, as Dina mentioned, I'm on a tight schedule. So let's begin the presentation. So we're going to be discussing the body's fuel and essentially giving you some tips about how you can eat during this pandemic and take it outside of the pandemic for a healthier lifestyle. So essentially, there are things that we need to know. What is a diet? Is a diet meaning that I'm going to starve myself or restrict myself from certain things? Or is it that a diet is taking into consideration the foods that I would consume, the beverages that I would also consume, and how they would affect my metabolism, how my body uses it, how it helps me to grow, how it helps me to maintain my normal daily pattern. So we need to firstly differentiate and determine what is your diet. From there, we need to take into consideration the different components. So for a lack of a better description, your diet is essentially everything that you would eat, everything that you would drink, and how that would impact positively, more so positively rather than negatively, your outcome for your body, how you would present yourself for training, for normal daily routine, how you would grow and how you would develop. Yeah. In the Caribbean, we have moved away from the food pyramid and we have factored in the 6 food groups, the Caribbean 6 food groups, and that would encompass carbohydrates, which we love. And for some persons, they like to restrict in their diet due to weight management purposes, but just food for thought, something to walk away with. Carbohydrates provides your body with glucose, and your brain uses that as a main source of energy. So instead of restricting your diet from carbohydrates, probably we can look at the different types of carbohydrates that we are consuming. And then we will determine if we should increase more or have more complex carbs, increase our fiber intake, as well as our fluid intake to facilitate that increase in your fiber. We have 2 types of protein, proteins from animals, proteins from plants. Persons who are vegetarian will tend to have more proteins from plants. Very well. And persons who are not vegetarians or have any restrictions with protein will tend to have either both plant protein, which is your peas and beans, or your animal protein, which is anything from your chicken to your turkey to your lamb and stuff like that. We have vegetables, fruits and vegetables. So another food group is fruits, another is vegetables. And then we have our fats. To improve your eating patterns and your lifestyle, it is very important that you consume a lot of fruits and vegetables and complex carbs. as that will help you not only to regulate how your body utilizes its energy, it also helps you to regulate how much of that food is stored as fat. And especially in this pandemic season where we have a lot of persons working from home and food is easily accessible. We don't have to walk around the corner or drive down the road. We can just jump off our bed or table and walk to the fridge, open it. All that is accessible to us. Our eating patterns may have changed. And for some of us, we may have put on weight. Some of us, we may have lost weight. And for some of us, we are bouncing through the different ranges. So does timing matter? Yes, timing matters, because at any one sitting of eating, your body could utilize up to 30 to 35 grams of protein. So you'd want to also regulate how big your portion sizes are. And there is a difference between portion and serving. And we'll discuss that shortly. Do we miss meals? If we miss meals, food for thought, when you miss meals, you tend to have that higher risk of putting on weight and holding on to that weight longer. So we don't want to put on weight and we want to help monitor our weight loss or our weight range. We'd want to ensure that we have small, frequent meals in sizes that our body could utilize and limit the amount of storage as fat. So we have all these fats and sugary foods that tend to taste good and makes us feel all good inside. But essentially, if we look at the young lady on your left of the screen, you'll see that, yes, she would have engaged in all of those fine foods that makes us feel really good. But the complications that come along with it would be non-communicable diseases, lifestyle diseases that in many times are irreversible for some persons if it's not regulated properly. So to combat that, we're definitely going to go with the 3 rules: have complex carbs, have a lot of fruits and vegetables, incorporate your exercise and proper hydration, and we should be good to go. Yeah? Lifestyle again. How can we adjust our lifestyle? How can we improve it? Definitely by taking in consideration the contribution that nutrition has, the contribution that exercise has. And if you have a busy schedule, nothing is wrong with doing 15 minutes every day. It adds up. If you have the time, nothing is wrong with doing a little more time, probably half an hour to 40 minutes every day or every other day, depending on how your current physical activity factor is. So we could start off small, 15 minutes every day, it adds up for the week. Yeah? Proper hydration. Hydration, you want to have, for an average adult, at least 2 liters for the day, 2 to 3 liters for the day. And that would be great. And I haven't started talking about your juice and your coffee and your teas and stuff like that. We're focusing on water. Yeah? These are some positive things to think about, how your lifestyle affects you. Do you smoke? Do you drink? Are you stressed out at work and at home? Studies have shown that persons who do not take into consideration having some sort of activity that helps them de-stress tend to be at a negative, at the negative end of their wellness. You tend to be stressed more, your mental health is all up in the air, you're not too sure what's going on. When you're stressed out, you're going to put on weight, you're going to eat unhealthy choices, you're going to eat more frequently, you're going to put on that weight, and then you're going to see the medical issues creeping in. So we want to make sure that you have a balance and maintain that balance throughout. Good days, bad days, in between days. We need to know what our purpose is. So let's limit how much we drink. Let's limit how much we smoke. Let's limit how much screen time we have. If you're going to be watching TV, let's probably try, you know what, I'm going to watch this movie. It's an hour and something long. If I do 45 minutes exercise while watching it, it's a win-win. So it's not like you're going to be sitting, doing nothing, eating junk food, eating popcorn and stuff in front of TV. You're going to be exercising while you do that. And you know what? You're going to develop some healthy patterns in your lifestyle. So again, these are some adverse effects of bad eating habits and the adverse effects of how obesity could also creep in and affect your health status. We know for a fact that diabetes, type 2 diabetes, is something that affects a lot of our Caribbean population. Out of a 400 hospitalized persons, we may have 3/4 of those persons having some effect to some effect to diabetes. And we know that if you are diabetic and it's not controlled, you can affect your cardiovascular system, you could affect your eyesight, you could affect your renal, your kidneys, your kidney function. So we want to make sure that we help maintain that weight. And in maintaining that weight, it helps us to prevent the development of any of non-communicable diseases. And I can't stress enough the importance of that. So you would have heard me say it at least 5 times to give you the importance, yeah? We know that persons who tend to put on weight and hold on to the weight are affected by sleep apnea. They have irregular sleep patterns, they may be snoring, the quality of sleep is poor. And research has also shown that your quality of sleep could affect your overall body composition as well as your eating patterns. If I'm not sleeping well, the frequency that or the possibility of me going to the refrigerator to get something is also higher. Yeah. So some key points that we would want to take into consideration. We need to have some measurable and attainable goals. I heard that, you know what? Let's say Charlton came and said, "Dee, I want to lose some weight." And I'll be like, okay, what exactly are your goals? What do you intend to do? I need to get the belly down. No, I'm just using Charlton as an excuse, not saying that that's his situation, but before he comes to me or when he comes to me, we're going to sit down and we're going to say, yeah, what? You want to lose weight? Sure. How much weight are you thinking about? What is the purpose or what is the reason for you losing weight? What are you going to do to get this weight down? And those are some things that you need to take into consideration when you are taking up a new diet, doing exercise. You need to write down your goals so that you could always reflect and see, okay, this is why I'm doing this. The difference between serving size and portion size. Serving is the scientific measure for a particular food item. So for example, if I am having rice, the serving size dry, uncooked is 1/2 cup and cooked is 1 cup. And that's the scientific standard measure. But if I go and let's say Sharon's down the road, they're going to have sale at 7 o'clock and they said, you know what? 7 o'clock, $10 any portion. And I say, you know, Sharon, give me 2 portions. And you look at the 2 portions. Within those 2 portions, there may be 5 or even 6 servings of rice. So the takeaway is serving size is the standard measure for the food item, whereas portion is what you put on your plate. And there can be more than 1 serving in a portion. Yeah? So we need to maintain a balanced diet. And as I would have mentioned before, that would incorporate you having food items from the different food groups and having different colors in your diet. We know that we have yellow vegetables, orange vegetables, green, white. And when we mix those up on a daily pattern or even during the week, it helps us to increase how much nutrients we would consume. So in a nutshell, that's some of the things that we need to look at. We need to look at having some exercise routines going. We need to look at having measurable and attainable goals. We need to incorporate some physical activity in our routine. And it's not just the bicep, tricep workouts that we're looking at. We're looking at some aerobic and anaerobic workouts. We're looking to have some good quality sleep. You're going to ensure that you have a proper cool down, a proper warm up while you're training. And then definitely you need to come see myself or my colleagues, a nutritionist or dietitian, so that we can help you map those goals with regards to nutrition and get you where you need to be. So in a nutshell, it's 2021, it's not quite over. This is the second year of the pandemic, and we want to make sure that we are taking care and taking control of our lifestyle through nutrition. So definitely you need to do your part, look at the quality of your life and try to see how you can improve it. And let's see if we can maintain healthy lifestyles. I thank you very much for your time. And this was my presentation. And I am open to any questions at this point in time.
Thank you, Denora. Wow. I'm sure if we could have persons open their mics and applaud, that's what we would be getting, because you have given us so much information, so many things to think about, right? And, you know, that's why it's important to have this discussion, because sometimes persons think, oh, it's just, yes, let me get a workout in. Once I'm doing that, it's fine. I don't have to be concerned about what I'm eating, right? And throughout your presentation, we can see how important the nutrition side of a healthy, active lifestyle is, and how that positively contributes to persons getting or achieving their wellness goals. So I really appreciate that presentation, Denora, and we're going to go straight into the questions. All right, so we have 2 so far from YouTube, and I also have a few that persons have sent previously. All right, so from YouTube, Annalisa Doctor, she has 2 questions. Her first question is intermittent fasting recommended?
Say that again, sorry.
Annalisa is asking if intermittent fasting is recommended. What are your thoughts on that?
Intermittent fasting or any fasting on the whole should be within a time frame. It's not scheduled or it's not intended to be over a prolonged period of time. So nothing is wrong with doing it probably for 3 weeks to 3 months and then taking a break and then coming back on. Because at the end of the day, when you lose weight or you adjust your eating patterns, you also adjust your metabolic rate. You also adjust how your body functions. So I know that a lot of these diets are to help you reduce or target the utilization and mobilization of your fat stores, so that essentially you're looking at weight loss and maintaining that proper healthy shape. But at the same point in time, there may be, everyone is different. It's not a, with nutrition, it's not a one size fit all. So definitely you can liaise with a trained professional, a nutritionist or dietitian, and we can guide you, because I don't want that you have this fast going on for a prolonged period of time and your body will get accustomed to it and you will have a plateau, and we definitely will have to make some adjustments for you to continue along your goal. Yeah. So nothing is wrong with it, but it's not intended to be a prolonged period of time. Dina, I think your mic is muted.
Yes, it was. So I was saying, I hope that answered Anna's first question. So on to her second question. How can I maintain a lower cholesterol level?
Okay, so cholesterol is naturally occurring in your body. So you can be sitting doing nothing, you haven't eaten any high food fats, and cholesterol is being produced in your body. So what you can do is incorporate that high fiber in your diet through complex carbohydrates, incorporate your physical activity, also look at the fats that you consume. You definitely want to have the unsaturated fats, as those are the healthier options, and limiting and having in moderation those fat foods, because at the end of the day, we still need to have fat in the diet because it helps us to absorb different vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. So having it in small portions throughout the day and on the week for the whole, definitely incorporating that high complex carbs foods, and definitely exercise. Those are at least 3 things you could start doing. But in order to find out where you are currently, you should liaise with a physician, a medical doctor, to get that blood work done to see where your ranges are. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And we're going to our next question. Can a section be targeted to lose weight? For example, belly only. I think that person is my subconscious. I know so many people who, you know, if I could just get the belly down. I don't want to lose, especially the woman, I don't want to lose the hips or the bottom or whatever. I just want my belly. So this person is asking, can we target only a particular section of the body to lose weight?
I would say 50-50%. In order to get the weight done, when you exercise, the body doesn't really have a bias to where it takes the fat from. So once you start exercising, you will definitely see the changes in the body composition. You'll see that fat mass coming down and that muscle mass going up. Incorporation of aerobic exercise, incorporation of resistance exercise, definitely linking up or having a training instructor with you would help you along the way. So you'll be looking at a holistic approach. You're not just going to jump on and see an exercise on YouTube or something like that, but you're going to consult your nutritionist, dietitian, and your training instructor to help you get that targeted weight loss. A lot of the times for females, when we exercise, we might see that the weight is lost from our gluteal areas and somewhere on our legs first, and then our tummies. Everyone is different. So it's just a matter of getting that expert opinion on how to start. So it's a possibility.
Okay. And just to let you know, we have persons saying, thank you for the responses. Anna specifically says, thank you for your response. And she has yet another question. But before I get to Anna's next question, let me pose a question that came privately. Since we are having the OC Moves Bootcamp, right? And, you know, we're meeting together Tuesdays and Thursdays. Someone wants to know, is there a particular time after working out that I should eat? Or should I be doing it before? You know, they want some guidance on that. So what would you tell them?
That's a very good question, actually. There are different time zones for persons to consume something. Everyone is different, as I said before. But recommendations for before exercise, you should have something to eat no less than an hour and a half before exercise. And after exercise, you have that window between 15 to 45 minutes to have something. It may not be a perfect meal afterwards, but something to help put back that glucose. So let me explain the before and after. Before exercise, you don't want to eat too close to training as to give your body enough time to start that metabolic breakdown of the food, the digestion process. Yeah. So you would want that hour and a half, that 90 minutes before tends to be sufficient for the digestion process to start and for you to have your blood levels regulated. Usually when you consume foods, the majority of your blood goes towards your stomach to help with digestion. And if you do eat too close to training, then you may feel a little more fatigued than normal and you may not give your best performance. So you'd want to eat outside of that 90 minutes before training. After training, you would have exerted yourself and you would have used a lot of energy stores, and you would want to put in something. It could be a half of a sandwich, it could be a small apple, it could be a half cup of chocolate milk, something to put back some of the glucose stores that you would have utilized during training until you reach home to have a proper meal. So those are the time zones you're looking at.
Okay, great. Thank you for that very detailed explanation.
Not a problem.
And we're going to give Anna another question. She is asking, is there anything that she can do to curb her cravings? She says, I know I'm not hungry, but I tend to eat more at nights while doing work.
Okay, so it will all come back to your routine. Cravings is just your body telling you that feed me. What you can do is look for the healthier choices. It could be a cup of black tea. It could be a few whole wheat, oat and bran crackers, something that is not, something that's low in fat, something that has some sort of carbohydrate or complex carbs, as well as low protein intake. So you'll be regulating how your body utilizes it. If you have full carbohydrate snack or item, it may spike your glucose And you may not want to have that because then you might feel a little lethargic, a little tired while you grading your papers or doing that research. So, and the protein tends to help regulate the glucose that you would consume. So a low fat, low protein, moderate carbohydrate snack is ideal. An example may be a yogurt, it may be a fruit, it may be half of a sandwich, example, a half a chicken sandwich, or even a cup of black tea are some options that she could utilize.
Okay, great. Thank you. And also for the examples that she can, if she's not figuring out what to do on her own, I think those are some very helpful examples that you provided. I think I've also heard of popcorn, but
yes, popcorn is a very healthy option.
Not the one slathered in
not
butter,
the ones in the pack,
right?
popcorn that you
And
pop in the
salt,
pot, or pretzels.
right?
Lightly salted pretzels are examples. Popcorn is an example also here.
Okay, great. And we have a question from Jana Glow. She says, I keep hearing we should avoid fruits as they're high in sugar. Is there any truth to this?
Fruits are natural, simple sugars. It's better than additive sugars or fruit juice drinks. So if I am to choose a fruit option, having it fresh is better, or having it freshly squeezed is an option also. Fruits will help you incorporate some fiber in your diet. It will help you incorporate that simple sugar, namely fructose, and that is easily acceptable by the body. Fructose is similar to that of glucose, is just a different in the configuration of the components. So I would definitely tell you, yes, have your fruits, natural fruits. It will help you get the nutrients that you require. It will also help you with your absorption of certain nutrients. So yeah, fruits are important and you should have them. Everything in moderation, not too much, not too little.
I was just about to, or that's what the thought that came to my head, all things in moderation.
But one more thing I should add, reference fruit, sorry, Dina, is that it's better to have one fruit at a time as versus having different sets of fruits. So it's better to have one fruit at a time, allow your body to utilize that fruit, and then probably an hour, 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours after, you could have another fruit. A lot of the times we have that fruit bowl and you're saying, yeah, I got my fruits in today. But essentially, it's better to have one fruit at a time.
I should have heard this. I literally had a fruit bowl right before this session. Pineapple, apple, grapes, and cantaloupe. And literally, yes, good day now, good job, right? You're getting in your fruits, you're getting in, those micronutrients that I know that we get from fruits, especially. But I think that's the first time I've actually heard that recommendation to only have one fruit at a time. And that's probably a good segue into another question that I received. Some persons have been saying that you shouldn't mix fruit and vegetable, for example, in like a smoothie. Is that correct? Is that not so? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it tastes really good, right? But at the same point in time, each food item interacts with other food items differently, as well as internally it interacts with your body differently. So you'd want to give your body the best option available. And it's better to have fruits with fruits, vegetables with vegetables. Try to keep it as far as possible separate. At some point in time, it's not avoidable, but it's better to do it that way. Another thing I'm going to throw in, if you're going to have a whole bunch of fruits and watermelon is an option, have the watermelon first and then have the other fruits.
Is that because of the high water content of watermelon?
No, it's partially to do with the interaction with your body.
Okay. Okay, understood. I am going to have to go back through this and make my notes for myself because I really thought I think I'm a very health conscious person and I eat well. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat a lot of fruits, but I eat a lot of fruits together. And if I do a smoothie, generally I will mix fruits with like, especially like green leafy vegetables. Because again, by themselves, they don't taste so wonderful, but when you add the
Exactly.
fruits, it's more palatable.
Exactly. And
So,
when you add the fruits, you tend to cut down any additive sugar that you would add into your smoothie because the fruits will give that natural sugar flavor,
right.
sweetened
That's what
flavor.
I was
So
thinking,
yes. So if you're going to do that, I would say if you have to mix a fruit with your vegetable smoothie, probably have one fruit in there. When you can avoid it, avoid it. If not, limit how much you put in. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Not a
I'm gonna
problem.
give two more questions from the private bank. I don't think we have any more right now on YouTube, so I'm going to pose these two back to back. Well, you mentioned, hydration and how important it is when we're talking about fueling the body properly. What is the recommendation, one, for hydrating while exercising? And is there, we've always heard 8 ounces per 8 ounce glasses per day of water. Um, what's the recommendations for that in terms of uh, exercising and hydrating before, during, after? And is it really that we all need to be aiming for those 8 ounce glasses daily?
Okay. So those 8 ounce glasses is the very minimum that any adult should be consuming. Your recommendations or requirements for hydration purposes as an adult is dependent on your body mass. So dependent on how much you weigh will determine how much you require. So that you would have heard me mention before, at least minimum an adult should have 2 to 3 liters of water for the day. With regards to your hydration around training, before training is recommended that you have at least 2 to 3 glasses before exercise. In between training, while you're training, you should have at least a glass or at least 4 ounces for each kilogram that you would have lost. So I would say at any point in time, if you're giving a water break, try to aim for 1 cup of water. That's if you're provided with a water break in between training and it's not competition. If it's competition, it's basically how much you could get before they set time. And after training, you'd want to have that minimum of 3 to 4 glasses or as much as you can have in a period of time to get you back hydrated. Because a lot of persons is dependent on their sweat rate. There are a lot of persons who would tend to sweat a lot, and there are some persons who don't sweat at all or very minimal. So that water loss is very minimal. So let's see, an average person, adults, for the day, you're looking at anywhere between 25 to 35 mLs per kilogram body weight. So that's a range that you could calculate for yourself to determine how much water you need to consume. And this value, it is for all your liquids, but I tend to tell persons it's water only to encourage them to drink water. So you're looking at 25 to 35 mLs per kilogram body mass. If you do not like drinking water, here's a hint for you. You can slice some fruits or put in some vegetables, some cucumber, or probably a grape, or some slices of lemon, or some slices of orange, some lime if you like, squeeze of lime to flavor that water, to encourage you to drink that water.
Great. Thank you again for those real life examples because we want people to walk away from this webinar feeling
It's
like, okay, I
practical
can
stuff.
actually do this. You know, it's not so far out of reach for me, and I really can do this. So I like the encouragement. Yes, we want to try to drink straight water, but if you are not, a fan, these are some options. Those are great.
Exactly.
I'm seeing one other question on YouTube. Samantha Abbott. She says, she has a comment and then I'll follow with her question. The eating fruit separately is new to me. I eat a lot of fruit combinations. So Samantha is like me. But her question is, would you recommend drinking tea while working out?
If you're drinking tea while working out, tea, dependent on what you choose, has caffeine in it. A lot of the tea bars, green teas have caffeine in it, and caffeine tends to be diuretic, so you could get dehydrated quickly. So if you have to use tea, I would tell you probably very, very far away from training times, because you want to be hydrated while training, before, during, and after. So if you want to have a tea beverage, probably 6 hours before, probably 3 hours after, just to show how exaggerated it is. You don't want, and dependent on your level of the type of athlete you are. If you're a national athlete, you definitely don't want to be dehydrated. If you are a collegial athlete, you really don't want to be dehydrated, and you want to give your best performance. But around the green tea, it helps to give you antioxidants. It's a low caloric beverage that you can use to give you some fluid in the body and give you some healthy beverage as compared to having a soft drink. And will keep you well within your range of 5 to 7 teaspoons of sugar, because there is a range for males and females.
Okay, so you just mentioned 5 to 7 teaspoons of sugar. That's daily.
Yes, that's
And
daily.
that also includes what you're eating that may have sugar in it, not literally added, you are just adding sugar to your beverages or whatever it is.
Exactly. So there's an example. Females are allowed 6 teaspoons for the day, and males are allowed 9 teaspoons for the day. And if we look at some of the beverages that persons like to consume, example, a soda, that may have up to 27 grams of sugar, which is plenty.
All right. I hope people are taking note of these things, because it sounds, I know a lot of persons don't think about, looking on the labels of, the foods and the drinks, that, especially the drinks. Nobody really is, a lot of persons don't think about the fact that what you're drinking also is adding to your daily caloric intake. And it's really important to be aware of what you're drinking, and the information is right there for us on labels if you're buying it in that way.
Exactly. And probably we could do that on a follow-up webinar if the schedule permits it.
Yes, that sounds like that would be a very good build on this information that you've given us. And one other question from Samantha: does drinking coffee make a difference? I'm not really sure a difference in what, but she just asked, does drinking coffee make a difference?
I know a lot of persons would use coffee as a means to manage weight also, because coffee tends to help target the fat stores and mobilize fat. I'm not too sure in what context also, but coffee without sugar can be used as a clear fluid also. It can also be utilized to help mobilize fats and help you hit your weight loss goals once with training. But at the end of the day, coffee also has caffeine. Yes, you have the decaf, which has less caffeine in it, but coffee on the whole has caffeine in it, and it is also a diuretic, and you can also become dehydrated. There are also ranges of how much coffee you should have for the day, and we wouldn't want to surpass that. So if you're looking at least, those small teacups, at least, or at most, I should say, no more than 3 cups for the day. And a lot of the times we would have all those lovely coffee beverages, hot or cold, and it already surpasses our daily recommendations or requirements. So that's something that we need to look at also. So
I understand that final completely. And of course, that has to do also with what you're adding to the coffee. So in the same breath, when we're talking about adding sugars, a lot of people, they have all of those creamers and all of that that's add on to what you're consuming, and you're just not paying attention. It tastes nice and you're like, yes, lovely. But your body's like, you're making it harder for me, right?
So essentially it's everything in moderation, and knowing why you're eating
moderation.
it, how much you're eating, how it's being prepared.
Yes. And so some key takeaways, Denora just said it, everything in moderation. If you are considering working out and you haven't been doing it for a while, nothing's wrong with starting small, even if it's 15 minutes. Start with the 15 minutes, do it consistently, and then work your way up to longer time periods. And make sure that you're setting your fitness and wellness goals. Write them down. Keep yourself accountable, but also be realistic with the goals. And make sure that you consult a trained professional, especially if you have injuries or if you suffer from, lifestyle diseases, the hypertension, the diabetes, that type of thing. Make sure that you're talking with a certified professional about these things. So I want to thank you so much, those of you who joined us on the social media platforms. Thank you so much for coming and being engaging and asking your questions. And a very big thank you goes out to Miss Denora George. We really do appreciate you taking the time. As I said earlier, you see that she's in her mask. She is basically trying to fit us in a very tight schedule, somewhere where she had to, maintain her safety. And I'm so happy that we were able to fit this slot in, because I think it's going to help a lot of people, especially as we're coming up to the holiday period where we tend to overdo it. So when you're making those plans or doing those activities, you're having your fun and your revelry, just remember some of her key points and apply them to your life. And I'm sure we'll see a difference in how you look and how you feel. So thank you so much, Denora. We really appreciate it. Thank you all for attending. Please let us know. The lovely thing about this is that you'll be able to view this over and over again on the Open Campus social media platforms, right? So if you were here and your friend missed it or a family member missed it, please make sure to share the link with them so that they can get this really good information. And I know that this is going to make a big difference, especially for our OC movers who are going to have a session in about 45 minutes, right? So we're encouraging persons to live a healthy, active lifestyle, and that includes, getting consistent physical activity in, but also being very careful and conscious about what you're consuming. So thank you all for attending and have a really good evening.